So I'm going to be showcasing this game that I made this week called Goblin Wizard, Curse of Travis. This is the loading screen, and on the loading screen there's a goblin, a wizard hat, and a pig. The goblin will be the main character, and the goal of the game is to use a different array of hats, wizard hats, with each their own power to defeat these little pigs that follow you, and eventually find Travis, who has been cursed, or something along that lines. I'm going to play through it once. I'll kind of explain what I'm doing, and then I'll go through a little bit of the quirks and such, things that I might change, things that I could have changed, and other small little tidbits. So, this is the first hat. Very basic wizard hat, with a very basic attack as well. In the top right corner is the health bar, and this is the first of many pig enemies that track the player. Using Z, all the hats have different attacks as well. This one's a sparkle that lingers for a few seconds wherever you originally use it, and you cannot have several sparkles at the same time. So the goal with this one is to try and trap the pigs as they do follow you, and time it correctly so that they run into the trap before it disappears. This next hat is the fireball hat, and it will make me move slower, but now my projectile will move as well. So it's slightly more useful, I would say, but that's up to opinion as well. These pigs are skeletons, and they move faster, but they only have 1 hit point each. And I'm trying to get to the next hat, which is very similar to the sparkle hat, except now the thing that it makes is permanent, and it will stay wherever until it is interacted with. But like the sparkle, it can only have 1 at a time. These pigs are covered in mud, which makes them ever so slightly faster, and gives them an extra hit point. So I will try and kill them with this flower, and you can see the mud goes away. It's like their extra hit point goes away when you first do damage to them. This is a zombie pig. They are slightly slower than the normal pigs, but they have extra hit points. And then as you'll see later, both the zombie pigs and the skeleton pigs can be covered in mud, just like the regular pigs. And it will give them an extra hit point and make them slightly faster, just like the regular pigs. This fourth hat, the mushroom hat, has a little radial attack, and it is an active hitbox while it is being used. And in addition, the goblin cannot be damaged while using the attack. So a good way to use this attack is to just spam it as you run into all the pigs, and it seems to be very effective at doing that. So once you get into these later hats, a lot more pigs will spawn, and it may get a little bit overwhelming, but luckily the hats get more powerful as well. This is the 5th and final hat, and it makes me very fast, in addition to shooting a large 3 tornado projectiles, very fast as well. And I believe this is the final wave of pigs before we encounter Travis. Travis will shoot these laser beams at random altitudes, alternating from the left and right side of the screen. And Travis has 10 hit points, technically the same as the player. And then this laser attack that he has does a lot of damage. If you stay in it while it's active, I'll get hit by it right now. There we go, it just destroys my health bar. So it's best not to get hit. And likewise, Travis is a hitbox as well himself, so you don't really want to run into him either. Looks like he's one more hit. And then this is Travis's death animation. And as you can see, there are 3 achievements in this game. You always get the first one for completing the game and freeing Travis from whatever curse he had. And the next 2, the second one is for completing the game without damage, and the third one is for completing the game with only the first hat. I'll stop the music real quick and go through a little bit of the sprites, the music, and a little bit of the code that I made as well. This is a mess. Here's a lot of the stuff that I made. So here are the regular pigs, the pigs damage sprite when they take damage, skeletons, zombies, and then mud-covered variants for all of them. Likewise, here is the goblin main character and the different headgear he can wear. We won't talk about what this one is. Likewise, damage, hearts for both him and Travis, different projectiles. Here, all of these are needed to make the spore projectile for the mushroom hat. And then here is all of Travis's projectiles, and I guess not projectiles, but sprites for his different animations. And the goblin, as well as all the pigs, only use 1 sprite, whereas Travis is big and he needs 4. So he has different collections of 4 for his different animations and things like that. Here is some lettering for the title screen and the death screen or success victory screen, as well as the achievements. I am going to show the death screen real quick. So the pigs will jump back as well as you to try and give you a chance to get out of the way if you do get hit by them. And then likewise, they cannot push you out of this box. They used to be able to push you out of the box. There we go. So that's what happens whenever you run out of health. And then as far as music, I made 2 songs for this. The main song that plays during the regular levels of the game, which I will play right now. That's the first song. I like to call that one Goblin Wizard. And then the song that plays during the Travis boss fight, I like to call Curse of Travis. And that loops along for a little bit as well. And then I made all of these using these different sound effects, for example, this one, and then I just layered them on top of each other and looped them and such. Likewise, the sound effects for the different animations are here. So for example, that's the fireball, that's the sparkle, that's the plant, I believe that's getting hit, that is or actually, I think that was the spore. This is the tornado that is getting hit, and then that's Travis's laser sound. I believe that's all. Yeah. And then as far as a little bit of the code, I make a bunch of pigs that spawn in a set pattern, and I believe that happens here. So whenever you hit a certain amount of pigs, another batch of them will spawn, sort of like waves. And then eventually, after you hit all the regular pigs, the boss will spawn. This is for winning and losing. And then I have different functions that I created for picking hats up, for moving, for wearing hats, and then also hat placement, as they will all spawn at certain intervals during the waves of the pigs. Here's the attack. So the attack is the same function for every single hat, and then likewise the projectile is exactly the same. They just all have different sprites and different ways of moving or not moving. Pigs, all the pigs also have the same code, and a little thing that I did was I made all of their velocities different. So the regular pigs move at a certain velocity, the skeleton pigs move a little bit faster, and the zombie pigs move even slower than the regular pigs. And depending on that velocity, they will have different costumes. So if certain velocity equals whatever, then they will be pink or skeleton or zombie or whatever. And then likewise, I did a function for hurting the pigs whenever you hit them with a projectile, or hurting the goblin whenever they run into the goblin. And then for the boss, for Travis, he has a lot more sprites because he is made of 4, sometimes 6 sprites instead of just the 1 that the goblin or the pigs are. And likewise, he does different things like move, where he jumps from one side of the screen to the other, gets damaged. He attacks on regular intervals based on the modulo operator. So like every however many frames, he will jump or shoot or stuff like that. He can get, I honestly don't know what this is. My naming convention went awry after a while. I think this is him hurting whenever the goblin touches him. This is his death animation. And finally, some win. So this is like what happens if you win. You get the little achievements, or depending on your performance. Or if you lose, then if you run out of hit points and then you die or whatever. And the startup screen. A few other little tidbits. I counting different frames for different things. For example, the sparkle, every 3rd frame will have a different sprite just to make it a little bit animated. Likewise, the fireball. And then the flower will grow. I think it's like every 2 or 3 frames it gets a new little stage until it stays here. And the tornado as well. And the music, there's only 2 tracks, so one track plays when the boss is on screen and the other one doesn't, and there's a separate frame to track that. And in terms of variables, for both players and pigs, I used tables, or I normally call them arrays, but in Pico 8 I believe they're called tables, that store 6 values, or actually no, 5 values. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 values. It used to be 5, and then it was 6 values for each pig, and for the goblin as well. So one tracks the X position, the Y position, its current sprite costume, its velocity, its health, and then which direction it's facing. So for looking left, I use east, and then for looking left, I use west, and for looking right, I use east. And those will change whenever it's moving and stuff like that. Likewise for the pigs, I have those exact same 6 variables. Um, and then through variation in those variables, I can make different pigs do different things or like spawn on different sides of the screen. But all of them will track the player and such. Um, pigs. Pigs will trace the player and move towards them. They can get hurt. They can hurt the player and they spawn and such. And then for Travis, I had to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 variables in part of his array. That's just because he uses more sprites and he has more complex attacks and things like that. So he was a lot more complicated to create. And yeah, I believe that is it. I'll run this again. One last tiny little thing are just like my thoughts on the game right now. The mushroom hat is incredibly broken, and it kind of allows you to play without care and just run into every single enemy as long as you're spamming the Z button, which is fine, I guess. It's kind of late in the game, so it doesn't really matter that much. And then likewise, I'll go to the achievements. This achievement is for completing the game, so you always get this one. This is for completing Damageless, which I have done a few times. It's not terribly difficult if you play the game several times. And this achievement is for completing the game with only the first hat, only the sparkle hat. I don't know if this is even possible. I've never done it. So I would love to see if I could accomplish that or if somebody else could or something like that. But yeah, those are the achievements. So if you would like to play my game Goblin Wizard Curse of Travis, I would love it if you would play it. I believe we'll have a link in the description for where you can play it, and I would love your feedback as well.